Ricky Rose, the time has come. Meech home. February 13th, get your tickets right now. It's going down. We know Florida gonna be there. Miami gonna be there. The legend himself gonna be in the building, making history. Meech, who else coming?
The whole nation. Detroit, St. Louis, California, everybody. Atlanta, Georgia, ATL, stand up.
Woo! We're gonna make history.
Can you believe it? The so-called big boss himself, Rick Ross, allegedly built his empire on someone else's crown, and the streets are talking. What happens when the legend behind the Black Mafia family, Big Meech, finally speaks up after years of silence? What happens when 50 Cent, the ultimate instigator, decides to drop truth bombs like their hot mixtapes? Fans are losing their minds, social media is erupting, and the entire hip-hop world is buzzing with questions nobody saw coming. Did Ross really steal the blueprint of a legend? Was the luxury?
Your tickets right.
50, who own your masters? Who own your masters? I buy your masters. You better shut up. I will buy your masters.
I want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film. Which director? Shout out to my homie F. Gary Gray, Antoine Foucault, what's up? Tarantino. It's a lot of legends. This is gonna be big. I can feel it. I'm just talking.
The fame, the flashy cars, and the boss life all borrowed without a shred of respect. And most importantly, will the man who once rapped "I think I'm Big Meech" survive the backlash of the real BMF boss checking him publicly? Hold on to your seats because we're about to peel back the curtain on what could be the biggest hip-hop scandal of the decade. Trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to look at Rick Ross the same way you look at a movie villain: rich, flashy, and completely until the real boss speaks. This isn't just drama. This is a cultural earthquake. And the epicenter, Miami, the streets, and every mansion Ross ever flexed from. Ready to dive in? Let's go. So here's the deal. Rick Ross, the so-called big boss.
I'm going to address this because I'm not trying to let nobody trick me off the streets. But I never folded, never told, never will. Death before dishonor, always with me. So I'm doing this for my loved ones and the support of my friends and family.
Boss has been flaunting his wealth, Maybachs, yachts, and velvet robes for years while the streets start asking questions nobody dared to ask before. How much of this empire is really his, and how much is borrowed from a legend whose name he casually dropped in songs, interviews, and photo ops as if it were his personal trophy? Enter Big Meech, the real mastermind behind BMF, the man who built an underground empire with flashy cars, wild parties, and a network deeper than most could even imagine. And while Ross was turning that energy into millions, Meech was sitting behind bars watching it all unfold, reportedly shaking his head as the world cheered the big boss persona that was never truly his. Back in the late 2000s, BMF was untouchable, a lifestyle so raw and legendary that it inspired a generation of rappers. And Ross saw the golden opportunity to borrow that narrative, wrap it in luxury rap, and launch Maybach Music Group, with lyrics like "I think I'm Big Meech," convincing fans that he was the ultimate boss. But Meech's camp allegedly claims that Ross never gave acknowledgement. No donations, no support, no genuine shoutouts. Just millions flowing straight into Ross' pockets while the real architects of the lifestyle were left with nothing. Insiders who spoke on condition of anonymity because nobody wants to die in a Hollywood rap scandal claim Ross quietly cut off everyone remotely linked to BMF. Old collaborators, associates, social media accounts mentioning the movement, gone without a trace. And the internet noticed immediately. Fans, bloggers, and social media detectives dissected every move, comparing Ross' flashy lifestyle to Meech's legacy, and the conclusion was obvious. Ross was thriving off borrowed credibility. The outrage was immediate. Memes exploded. Twitter threads stretched endlessly. One viral post screamed, "You can't steal another man's life and call yourself real," and everyone knew exactly who it was aimed at. And then there's 50 Cent, the man who never misses a chance to drop a grenade in someone else's backyard, swooped in like a vulture circling the big boss, posting cryptic messages, clips, and memes that basically said, "Nice try, Ross." But this is how a real boss operates. Fans went wild, some laughing, some yelling for justice. And somewhere in the middle, Ross is reportedly sitting in his mansion watching his carefully curated image start to crack. How do you flex wealth when the streets are telling everyone you borrowed your power? The question hanging over every post, every lyric, every luxury photo. And the stakes are higher than ever. It is not just about money. It is about credibility, respect, and legacy. The same streets that elevated Ross are now questioning if he was ever truly Big Boss, or just a man who got lucky wearing someone else's crown. Meech, through letters and whispers, has been trying to set the record straight for years. And now, after years of silence, the world is finally hearing it loud and clear. The tension, the betrayal, and the drama are just beginning to surface. And by the time people realize it, what Ross thought was untouchable might be unraveling before his very eyes. As the story unfolds, the reactions from fans, insiders, and social media have been nothing short of explosive, with every post, tweet, and comment dissecting Rick Ross' every move and questioning whether the empire he built was ever truly earned or simply borrowed from Big Meech, who laid the foundation for the lifestyle Ross now claims. As his own sources, claiming to have inside information, describe lavish spending sprees, luxury cars, private jets, and million-dollar mansions that serve as a backdrop for what some are calling a blatant exploitation of Meech's legacy. And while Ross posts motivational captions and exotic pictures, the streets are reading the message loud and clear. Every dollar, every flex, every lyric that mentions Big Boss is now being scrutinized under the lens of authenticity. And 50 Cent has been relentless in amplifying this narrative with his usual mix of humor, sarcasm, and savage precision, dropping memes, cryptic comments, and video clips that make it painfully obvious that Ross' boss persona is under question. Fans have been dividing into camps, with Team Meech rallying behind the real-life legend and demanding recognition, accountability, and respect, while Team Ross struggles to defend the borrowed image, and some voices have gone as far as to suggest that Ross' silence is the loudest confession of all. Insiders allege that letters from Meech have made their way to the public, hinting at betrayal, exploitation, and a lack of loyalty. And even if these messages are only partially authentic, they have ignited a firestorm of debate, with podcasts, YouTube channels, and blogs dissecting every element of Ross's career, from his earliest references to BMF to his current media presence. And the tension is not just online. Sources say the ripple effect has reached other artists, producers, and even some government-adjacent entities curious about the massive influence BMF had on the music industry and the way Ross monetized it. Some speculate that the next step could involve legal scrutiny over intellectual property, brand usage, and possibly financial probes into revenues that were generated off a persona many now argue was constructed from someone else's life. And while all of this chaos unfolds, Ross is reportedly maintaining his silence. Posting images of exotic animals, yachts, and sprawling estates, while the commentary around him grows louder with accusations of cultural theft, disloyalty, and appropriation of street credibility. 50 Cent continues to fan the flames with precision timing, inserting himself into the narrative not just for entertainment but to expose the perceived hypocrisy, contrasting how he personally engages with Meech's family and legacy compared to Ross' absence. And as public discourse heats up, fans are seeing the narrative unfold like a drama series, comparing every lyric, every post, and every business move. And the tension is reaching a fever pitch, with questions swirling around Ross' authenticity, legacy, and whether the empire he built can survive the scrutiny of the streets and the media. The backlash continues to mount. Opinions are polarizing, and every move Ross makes is now a headline, a meme, or a topic of heated debate, because the truth, as messy and complicated as it is, has a way of catching up with those who borrowed what they did not earn. So what does this all mean for Rick Ross, Big Meech, and the streets watching every move, like hawks? Is Ross going to finally acknowledge where he got the blueprint for his empire, or is he going to keep hiding behind luxury cars and Instagram captions, pretending everything is fine? Will Meech's voice continue to shake the foundation of the persona Ross built, or will the world forget once the next viral moment hits? And what about 50 Cent? Is he just playing referee, or is he setting the stage for a reckoning that could make this one of the most talked about hip-hop sagas in history? The truth is, the streets don't lie, the fans don't lie, and social media definitely doesn't lie. And right now everybody is watching, dissecting, commenting, and waiting for Ross to either step up or step aside. So here's where you come in. We need to hear what you think. Drop your comments below. Tell us who's in the right, who's in the wrong, and whether Ross can survive the storm he helped create. Make sure to like this video if you want more breaking truths. Subscribe to stay ahead of every scandal. And hit that notification bell so you never miss when the culture explodes again, because this story is far from over and you do not want to be the last to hear what happens next.